Flames swallowed the wedding hall the moment I said I do. My husband, Alexander Bennett, rushed past me. He scooped up my stepsister, Joyce Holt, and carried her through the fire. He never looked back. A massive screen crashed down on me. I couldn't move. Smoke filled my lungs. The heat seared my skin. I was dying in my wedding dress. Then, a stranger's arms pulled me from the wreckage. I blacked out to the sound of distant sirens. When I woke, I was alone in a cold hospital room. Cracked rib. Deep gash across my left cheek. The doctor said it would scar without proper care. Where's your family? I couldn't answer. Alexander never picked up my calls. A young nurse recognized me from the news. Isn't your husband here? The head nurse pulled her aside and whispered. He's upstairs, with someone else. But she only scratched her hand. My blood went cold. I dragged myself upstairs, ribs screaming, face bandaged. At the VIP ward door, I stopped. Alexander was feeding Joyce. Spoon to her mouth, eyes locked. My stepmother, Katrina Harper, wept dramatically. Caden, is this karma for my mistakes? My father, Caden, wrapped his arm around her. It was just an accident, not your fault. Then Joyce wailed. It was murder. Daniela pushed me. She wants me dead. She collapsed into Alexander's arms. Katrina buried her face against my father's chest. I gave up everything for Daniela. I swore to have no more children. But nothing satisfies her. Why must Joyce suffer? Joyce had a scratch. I had a broken rib and a ruined face. My father said nothing. My husband said nothing. They just held the women who called me a murderer. I stumbled back to my room alone. After my mother died, I lost my father too. The husband I loved for 10 years belonged to someone else. That night, Alexander finally appeared at my door. He held a food container. His eyes were ice. I forced myself upright. Every breath hurt. I didn't push Joyce. She said my wedding gift was in the storeroom. When we went in, the fire started and the door was locked. Alexander stared at me like I was filth. Stop fooling yourself. You've always resented Joyce for being everyone's favorite. But to sabotage our wedding with this malice? I never thought you were capable of being this monstrous. I told Alexander the truth. The fire was a trap. I told him about the warehouse cameras. There must be backup footage. Enough. You're just scrambling for excuses. Footage can be manipulated. I can't trust a single word from you. Over a decade of love, and he wouldn't believe a single word. Then he gave a cold command. Go and apologize to Joyce right now. Apologize? For being burned alive? I'm your wife. Why won't you believe me? If Joyce takes this to court, you'll be the one begging for mercy. His words cut deeper than my broken rib. He grabbed my collar and dragged me from my bed. A nurse screamed at him, pleading that I needed rest for my fractured rib. He didn't care. He hauled me into Joyce's lavish VIP ward. My stepmother, Katrina, fed Joyce fruit as if she were the victim. My own father, Caden, looked at me with pure disgust. You have the audacity to show your face here. I felt ice fill my veins. I turned to him one last time. Dad, I'm your flesh and blood. You promised to take care of me after Mom died. He didn't even flinch. You're the one who screwed up. You've grown quite audacious, standing up to me. Joyce, looking perfectly healthy, put on a show of gasping for air. Then she played her final card, looking at Alexander with fake innocence. Alexander, do you honestly believe I'd start a fire just to end my own life? Alexander's face darkened with a terrifying rage. He turned his icy stare on me. Daniela, kneel and beg Joyce for forgiveness. Before I could refuse, Katrina flew out of her chair. She slapped me so hard my vision blurred. Then she collapsed in a dramatic mess of tears. You tried to kill my daughter. It's all my fault for being a stepmother. My father saw her torment and snapped. He marched over and slapped me too. I slammed against the wall, dazed and heartbroken. I looked at Alexander, searching for a single shred of mercy, a single word in my defense. But his response shattered my final hope. Apologize now, or I call the police. You're facing attempted murder. That could mean life in prison. I braced myself for Alexander's answer. It still cut through me like a blade. 10 years of love, and all I got was him standing firmly behind another woman. Yes, call the police. Let them handle this murderer. I caught it the way Joyce squeezed Katrina's hand. A silent signal. Katrina's hand froze mid-reach for her phone. Alexander, I know you care about me, but this is our family matter. If the police arrest my sister, it'll ruin the Harper family name. Maybe we should just let it go. Her head bowed delicately, but I saw the cunning glint in her eyes. Caden's face softened. Alexander's brow furrowed. We can't just let this go. Apologize now. Kneel. My cracked ribs screamed in agony, but I kept my spine straight. I refused to break. A cruel truth hit me, then my pain was just entertainment to someone who never loved me. I already told you, I did nothing wrong. I'm innocent, and I refuse to kneel or apologize. Before the words fully left my mouth, Caden closed the distance. His slap landed hard across my face. Already fragile, I swayed like a leaf in a storm. Then, a brutal kick struck my back. I crashed down onto my knees. The crack of bone against tile echoed through the room. Pain exploded from my knees straight to my chest. I caught myself on my palms. Blood seeped through my chest bandages, turning them bright red. At the doorway, the nurse couldn't take it anymore. She rushed to my side. I've seen the reports. You're her husband, aren't you? You're supposed to protect each other. How can you treat her with such cruelty? She's seriously hurt. Without proper care, this injury will haunt her forever. I'd never accept someone so vicious as my wife. Joyce may be forgiving, but your actions were severe. You will kneel here until you acknowledge your mistake." He turned to my father. "Mr. Harper, you see the need for this, don't you?" "Absolutely. She needs to reflect deeply. I'm all for it. My own father." No hesitation. A doctor called the family out of the room. The door clicked shut. Only Joyce and I remained. She sat perched on the hospital bed like a queen on a throne, looking down at me. I was still on my knees, hands trembling against the floor. "Does it even matter that you're Dad's biological child? Look at yourself, kneeling before me. I like Alexander. And if he's not mine, he sure as hell won't be yours." But she didn't notice my left hand sliding into my pocket. I pressed record. Sweat dripped down my pale, strained forehead. I locked eyes with her. "So it was you behind the fire all along, wasn't it?" Joyce tilted her head back and laughed. She didn't even try to hide it anymore.
"Yes, I set the fire. The warehouse was soaked in gasoline. I planted explosives everywhere."
My left hand stayed in my pocket. The phone was still recording.
"Your cloud surveillance footage is useless, Daniela. I already wiped it clean."
She crossed her legs on the hospital bed like a queen on a throne.
"Dad and Alexander think you're worthless. They won't believe a single word you say."
Alexander's footsteps echoed in the hallway. He walked in and looked at me like I was a stain on the floor.
"Are you ready to apologize now?"
I gripped the phone tighter and met his eyes.
"Have you looked at this from every angle?"
He let out a scornful laugh. His voice cut sharper than any knife.
"Stop being pathetic. Let's end this marriage."
I leaned against the wall and pulled myself up. 10 years of loving this man. 10 years of nothing.
"Fine. I'll gladly take the divorce. Why would I want a husband too blind to see the truth?"
I walked out and borrowed a phone from another patient. I sent one message to Lillian. "Come get me, now." She replied instantly. "On my way." When Lillian arrived and saw my face, she nearly exploded. My rib was fractured. My face was swollen like a balloon. The bandages on my chest were soaked red.
"They chose that worthless bitch over you? Let me handle this."
I stopped her dialing hand.
"Not yet. We'll deal with them when the time is right."
Lillian went to handle the discharge papers. I stood outside and looked up at the 3rd floor. The VIP ward glowed with warm light. Alexander sat by the window, peeling an apple. He was smiling at Joyce. That smile. I chased it for 10 years and never got it once. 2 days later, I woke up in the ICU. The old Daniela died in that fire. The naive and deceived Daniela was gone, once and for all. Online rumors spread like wildfire. Strangers typed that Daniela hired a private luxury room, cost $6,000 a night. They claimed her dad and stepmom waited on her, her husband peeled fruit for her. They said poor Joyce was stuffed into a shared ward, couldn't even get water. The hate mob roared that Daniela must have everything handed to her on a silver platter. One poster tried to speak truth, said Daniela was a genuinely nice person, but her comment got buried instantly under accusations of paid lies. Lillian saw that angry comment and let out a sharp, bitter laugh.
"Ridiculous. Daniela is a fashion titan, the visionary behind Elite Luxe. If she hadn't thrown her future away on that scoundrel, she'd top the global wealth list."
I remained completely unfazed by the online uproar. I even found Lillian's furious expression a little amusing.
"Are you seriously laughing? You're letting keyboard warriors hired by Joyce defame you."
I held up my phone and showed the recording of Joyce's confession.
"Definitely not. I've decided. It's time to file for a divorce."
I said it with a chilling calmness, my voice stripped completely of emotion. Lillian's mouth fell wide open in shock. I gave her chin a playful nudge.
"Get the legal department to prepare a divorce agreement." "You're for real? You actually came to your senses."
Lillian almost leaped out of her chair, her eyes wet with disbelief. The truth was that I never needed his money. I lost my mom at age 5 and built Elite Luxe from the ground up, becoming a billionaire before reaching adulthood. The notion that I needed anything from Alexander was almost comical. Those idiots online thought I was weak, just another Joyce clinging to family, waiting to marry rich. How utterly ridiculous. I left the hospital and immediately dialed Alexander's number with unshaken determination. The phone rang multiple times until his secretary picked up, his voice dripping with condescension. "Daniela? What is it this time?" I knew these Bennett Group employees always mirrored Alexander's contempt. The secretary threw a glance at Alexander, who sat deep in conversation, Joyce leaning into him as if glued to his side. "Mr. Bennett is currently in a meeting." I didn't hesitate for a single breath.
"Tell him to meet me at the courthouse at 8 tomorrow morning. We're finalizing the divorce."
The secretary hangs up on me and turns to Alexander. He tells Alexander, "I've scheduled a divorce hearing for 8 tomorrow morning." Joyce clings to Alexander's arm, playing innocent.
"This is my fault. Daniela's jealous because you took care of me. I should apologize to her."
Alexander strokes her shoulder, his voice soft.
"Don't blame yourself. She's petty. She wants a divorce."
His jaw tightens.
"Fine. I'll show up tomorrow and see if she means it."
Joyce's eyes go wide with rehearsed surprise.
"Alexander, don't be rash. She's just trying to scare you. If you actually agree, she'll be humiliated."
But behind her innocent mask, a cold smirk flickers across her lips.
"If I don't go, she'll keep threatening me with divorce. The fire was her doing. You're the victim here, Joyce."
Later that day, the divorce agreement lands on Alexander's desk. He glances at the cover, then tosses it straight into the trash. I hand over the divorce papers and return to my hotel. I always thought leaving Alexander would destroy me, but the only thing I feel is relief. Pure, weightless relief. Leaving him was simpler than I thought. I pause at the hotel entrance. Standing before me in a perfect row are the core members of Elite Luxe. My design team. The people who trusted me when I was barely more than a kid. They warned me about Alexander. I didn't listen. Now they're here, grinning, eyes bright. Welcome back. Tears sting my eyes. I can't hold back a smile. After everyone settles in, Lillian finds me.
Daniela, when do we leave?
Elite Luxe headquarters is overseas. But I'm not ready to go.
Get Ryan here.
Lillian blinks, confused.
This marriage has to end. But first, I'm clearing my name.
Lillian strides down the hall and pushes open the door across from mine. Ryan Parker steps out, draped in black, his hoodie shadowing his face. His skin is pale as a ghost. The man practically lives in server rooms.
Daniela, what can I do for you?
I waited outside the courthouse for 3 hours before Alexander finally showed up. The moment he stepped out of his car, I turned to go inside, but he grabbed my wrist and yanked me back. Don't test my patience. Let's get this over with. I pulled my arm free and grabbed the divorce forms myself. Alexander stood there, furious, trying to give me one last order. Admit you caused the fire. Kneel and apologize to Joyce. If you do, maybe I'll let this slide. I didn't even look up from the paper. My knees don't bend for anyone. Just sign here. He scanned the paperwork. His face darkened when he saw the money part empty. If you want a divorce, don't expect to walk away with a single dime of my money. I pointed at the signature line. I almost laughed. That pitiful amount? Let Joyce have it. It might cover her hospital bills one day. He thought I was bluffing, so I signed my name right in front of him. I looked up with a taunting smile. What's the matter, getting cold feet? Or did you just realize you're not ready to lose me? I told him the idea of sharing a man with another woman made my skin crawl. It was pathetic. That set his blood boiling. He grabbed the pen and scrawled his signature. Just like that, it was over. The divorce was finalized. A crowd of onlookers nearby started whispering. They couldn't believe a man would divorce a woman who looked like me. They called him a fool right to his face. Alexander's face twisted into a dark scowl. I just turned to leave. Then he seized my wrist again. Do you think this is a joke? Joyce is suffering nightmares because of you. You will kneel before her and beg for forgiveness. I just stared at him, a man I'd known for over a decade. Now he was a total stranger. A slow, knowing smile spread across my lips. I agree, Alexander. People should pay the price for their mistakes. The smile stayed on my face. Joyce couldn't escape the consequences that were coming her way. An hour later, my plane was high above the country. Back in Olisvine, the storm I created was just beginning. The audio and fire footage I sent Ryan exploded across every media outlet. The first video to go viral was Joyce's confession.
I was behind that fire. I intended to ruin your wedding to Alexander.
The hashtag number TruthOfTheBrideInFire hit #1 in minutes. People watched her admit to dousing my wedding in gasoline. Joyce was in a high-stakes executive meeting when she saw the video.
That wasn't my voice. This is slander.
But her frantic waving didn't erase the hundreds of sharp glares from every executive in the room.
It's a setup by Daniela. I'm contacting the police immediately.
But 30 minutes later, a professional analysis was released online. The report was brutal and final. The audio and surveillance footage were confirmed genuine. No manipulation, no setup. The truth struck Joyce like a physical blow. The public fury shifted. Unbelievable! The audacity to make the real daughter kneel. And then, someone posted an image of our divorce certificate. Justice is served. Alexander scrolled through the headlines. His face thunderous. He hurled his phone onto the table, barking at his secretary.
What is the PR team even up to? These headlines just splashed across the globe, and no one intervened.
But the tech team couldn't take it down. The entire nation had already seen it. Alexander realized then, this was the price I demanded. He swore he'd never forgive me, that the door to the Bennett family was slammed shut for good. Then, his father Richard called, screaming through the phone.
Has Daniela gone absolutely insane? Tell her she's out of her goddamn mind if she thinks he'll ever forgive her for this.
Alexander tried to call me next. It went straight to voicemail. He was blocked. A new fury surged through him, but his phone rang again before he could act. It was Caden.
Alexander, what the hell is wrong with Daniela? Joyce is at home sobbing like crazy now.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. People called him a social climber. They said he let his stepdaughter burn his real daughter's wedding. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Caden screamed at Alexander over the phone. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
Tell Daniela she comes home by tonight, or she's out of this family forever.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
I divorced Daniela today.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Silence! Then Caden collapsed, clutching his chest. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. At the hospital, Katrina's fake sobbing echoed down the hallway. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
Joyce told us everything. That audio was fabricated. Daniela made it all up.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
I'm making a public announcement. I'm cutting ties with Daniela. Joyce is my only daughter now.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Kaiden's pride. Joyce burst into theatrical tears and rushed into Kaiden's arms. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Kaiden's pride.
Dad, I'll take care of you forever.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Kaiden's pride. Then Joyce turned to Alexander with a coy smile. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
Alexander, when should we get married?
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Alexander's face stayed blank. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
I'll discuss it with my family.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Outside the room, Alexander stopped Joyce cold. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
The audio and footage weren't tampered. I had experts verify them.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Joyce froze. Her mask cracked for just a second. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
Daniela tormented me. She mocked me for not being a real Harper. I just snapped.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Alexander turned and walked away without another word. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. But the scandal didn't die. Someone kept it alive on purpose. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Cedric Phillips. He made sure the world saw everything. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Both companies' stocks crashed to record lows within days. Everyone hunted for me. But I had vanished. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. No trace. No leads. As if I never existed. Caden, desperate and ruined, publicly disowned me online. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Alexander hired the best private investigators in the country. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. 2 weeks later, the investigator called back. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Mr. Bennett, we can't find her. Is she really just an ordinary woman? The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. Alexander stared down at the city from his office window. His jaw tightened, his fist clenched. Then he let it go. The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride.
Forget it. She's the one who wanted the divorce, so whatever mess she's in now is her own problem, not mine.
The internet exploded with hate. Every comment sliced through Caden's pride. 3 months later, a bombshell drops in Olesvine. The city's iconic Luxor Tower has a new owner.
Money talks. The offer was so massive, Cyrus Bradley couldn't refuse.
The room buzzes. Who has that kind of power? Everyone turns to Alexander for answers. He gives a cold, cryptic smile. Then his phone rings. His father, Richard.
Elite Lux bought the tower. Their president will be there tomorrow. Bring our best portfolio. Catch their eye.
Richard then adds a final command.
And take Joyce with you. Daniela is worthless now. Joyce could inherit the Harper fortune. She is your future.
Alexander ends the call, mind set on the task. But before he can move, a chill wind cuts through the room. A towering, dark figure pushes the door open. It is Cedric Phillips, the man who bought the building across the street. Everyone rises in a panic, falling over themselves to greet him. Alexander steps aside, but Cedric's cold gaze pins him for a second. A silent, deadly warning. Later, Alexander raises his glass to toast from a distance. Cedric looks right through him and turns his back. Did you offend Mr. Phillips? He's not a man you want as an enemy. Alexander's jaw tightens, but he says nothing. Cedric checks his phone and stands with calm authority. As he passes Alexander, he answers a call. His voice drops, laced with secret affection.
What time should I pick you up?
Alexander freezes. Every nerve in his body fires off a single alarm. The voice faintly echoing from that phone. He knew it. I let Joyce drag me into that golf shop. Trust me, Alexander, a golf club is the perfect gift. She pointed to a club. The price tag said $8,000. My gut clenched. Are you sure about this? Absolutely. My friend knows the CEO of Elite Lux personally. Sincerity matters, not the price. Her words didn't sit right, but she kept pushing. I'm not demanding like that spoiled Daniela. This is exactly what a sensible woman would do. I bought the worthless club. But at home, my father Richard saw it. His face twisted. You're giving that garbage to the CEO of Elite Lux? Joyce's cheap mindset is pathetic. He was right. It was an embarrassment. Then he walked into the storage room. He came out holding an exquisitely wrapped gift box. Take this instead. The golf club Daniela gave me. It's leagues above what you have. I opened the box. The craftsmanship was stunning. A custom design? A custom design? Where did Daniela get this? That's a masterpiece from a world-renowned artisan. A one-of-a-kind piece. Not even $4 million could buy it. My hands tightened on the club. $4 million. Daniela's mother was dead. Katrina controlled the Harper family's money. Daniela was supposed to be penniless. How could a woman with no allowance afford a gift worth a fortune? The long Lincoln pulls up right in front of Luxor Tower. Through the window, I spot Joyce chatting non-stop beside Alexander. She gestures wildly, brimming with excitement. Her voice drifts through the glass. She's bragging about her insider information on the CEO of Elite Lux.
Look, Alexander. That car. It must be him. The CEO of Elite Lux.
Lillian steps out first. The rear door opens slowly. I step out and meet Joyce's stare. Her face goes rigid, then twists in shock.
Daniela, What the hell are you doing in the CEO's car?
She rushes forward, scanning the empty vehicle frantically. Finding no one, her glare turns venomous.
After getting dumped by Alexander, you already seduced the CEO, didn't you?
I don't waste a second. I gesture for security.
There's a delusional woman causing a scene. Please take care of it.
The building manager sprints over, beaming. He tells me Mr. Phillips had car trouble and will be here soon. The upper floors are being remodeled exactly to my specifications. And tonight, the tower gets its new name. The manager turns to the guards, voice dropping low. Miss Harper is the new owner. If she complains, you clean out your lockers. I walk inside with the manager, leaving Joyce and Alexander frozen at the door. Outside, workers hoist a freshly painted sign into place. The name Harper replaces the old landmark letters. Joyce stares at it, her mouth half open.
Alexander, did you catch that? Daniela has not only secured ties with the CEO of Elite Lux, but has convinced him to rename an entire building in her honor. It seems she has thoroughly enchanted the CEO.
Alexander's face darkened the moment I stepped out of that car. I didn't even glance his way. A few months ago, I would have done anything for one look from him. Now he was nothing.
See, Alexander? Fresh out of her marriage and she's already wrapped the CEO of Elite Lux around her finger. Disgusting.
Joyce's voice dripped with jealousy she couldn't hide. Alexander stayed silent, his jaw tight. Joyce grabbed his arm, her nails digging in.
She used to chase you like a lost dog. Now she won't even look at you. I bet she never told the CEO she's divorced. The second he shows up, I'm exposing her for the scheming liar she is.
The audio leak still burned in Joyce's memory. Watching me rise only made that fire hotter. She couldn't let me win. An hour passed outside the building. Joyce shivered in the cold, her patience gone. She pulled out her phone and called her friend.
The CEO's not coming, is he? Why would he trust Daniela with...
Her friend cut her off. What are you doing outside? Security just confirmed the CEO of Elite Lux is already in the building. Joyce grabbed Alexander and ran inside. Security stopped them at the door, but Joyce found another way. A cramped back corridor used for kitchen waste. Rotting garbage and cheap perfume filled the air.
Get through the worst, and you'll outshine them all.
She was going to destroy me in front of the CEO. She pulled out her phone and started a live stream. By the time the elevator hit the top floor, she was broadcasting to thousands.
Hello, everyone. Today, I'm reuniting with my beloved sister who disappeared for 3 months. Our parents and I have missed her terribly. Let's find out together what she's been up to.
She secretly texted Katrina to make sure Caden watched the stream. Joyce stepped out of the elevator, phone raised, grin plastered on. I stood by the window, looking out at the city. Lillian moved to block her. I put a hand on Lillian's arm and stopped her.
She's already here. Let's use her little show for free publicity, for my comeback, and for Elite Lux.
Lillian chuckled and nodded. Joyce swept into the office, her camera panning across the luxury.
Look at this stunning office. My sister, completely cut off from family money, somehow landed in one of the most exclusive buildings in the city. And the manager himself is hosting her. Isn't my sister just remarkable?
Every word was laced with poison. Then she turned her venom on the manager.
You should be careful. Some people can't stop lying. I bet Daniela doesn't even have $100 in her pocket right now.
The manager stepped forward, ready to shut her down. One look from me stopped him cold. My message was clear. Let the idiot put on her pathetic little show. Joyce's grin stretched wide when she saw me stop the manager from speaking. She thought Shed caught me. I got it right, didn't I? I gave her a calm smile. You're right. I don't have $100 on me right now. Joyce's eyes lit up with vicious glee. She turned to her live stream, voice dripping with triumph. Listen up, everyone. She just confessed. She pointed at me like I was a criminal. She has no money, but she's here pretending to be a millionaire. So tell me, Daniela, are you the CEO's mistress? Or is this just another pathetic lie? She was completely convinced I was finished. But the online comments took a sharp turn. She looks breathtaking today. That's the new limited edition from Elite Lux. Stunning. The conversation flipped from scandal to my outfit. And then my father chimed in. I have cut all ties with Daniela. She is no longer my daughter. Joyce's face flushed with fury as her narrative slipped away. Don't be fooled. She's just a climber. A gutter rat in stolen silk. I laughed softly. Why not look in a mirror and see who really looks like an ugly gutter rat? Before Joyce could explode, the elevator door slid open. Joyce spun toward the man who stepped out. Look, Alexander, that's Joshua Dennis. Has connected to the CEO? Hell, expose her. Joshua walked straight past Joyce. He stopped before me and bowed. Miss Harper, it's a pleasure. My father's car broke down, so I've come instead. I've arranged a dinner. Would you honor us with your presence? Joyce froze. Her face twisted in disbelief. Then she burst into a sharp, wild laugh. Are you insane, Joshua? You're telling me Daniela is the CEO of Elite Lux? She spun toward her camera, voice booming with mockery. Alexander, did you hear that? Has claiming Daniela is the CEO of Elite Lux. Can you believe that? It's the grandest joke I've heard in years. Joyce's laughter echoes through the office. She can barely breathe, doubling over.
If she's the CEO, I'll eat a fresh pile of crap for dessert.
I don't move. My smile doesn't falter. Joshua Dennis, the man who was supposed to expose me, stands frozen in horror. He storms toward Joyce and slaps her across the face.
Have you lost your mind? She is the freaking CEO of Elite Lux.
Joyce touches her swelling cheek, eyes wide with shock.
Why did you hit me?
Joshua ignores her, scrambling to recover. He shoves a gift box toward me.
My apologies. Miss Harper, this is from my friend. She brought you a present.
I open it. An $8,000 golf club. A pathetic joke, given the thousands of acres of courses I own. Joshua's face turns red. He frantically grabs the other box from Alexander's hands. He rips it open, and this time, relief washes over him.
This one, Miss Harper. This is your actual gift.
I pull out the club. The custom finish gleams flawless. But I recognize it instantly. It's the very club I gifted to Richard. My finger traces the engraving on the grip.
I didn't know the Bennett family was in the club-making business.
Joshua's fake smile shatters. He sees the name Bennett and goes pale. They brought my own gift back to me.
Re-gifting. A true talent for business, Mr. Bennett.
Lillian steps up, her hand closing around the club's handle.
If you treat our boss's generosity like trash, we'll take it back.
The silence is suffocating. Joshua can't even stammer a reply. Joyce shakes her head, muttering in disbelief.
No, this is a prank. How much did Daniela pay you, Joshua?
But right then, every phone in the room buzzes. Elite Lux's official website has updated with a bombshell. Daniela Harper is confirmed as the CEO, spearheading their domestic launch. Every face in the room turns to me, stunned into silence. Joyce's laugh rings out again, but now it's manic, unhinged.
You hacked their website. You'll be sued into the ground for this.
Her words hang in the air, and that's when she finally notices it. No one is laughing with her. Every single person is staring at her with cold, sober eyes. The echo of Joyce's laughter is dead. The room goes dead silent. Joyce's face twists in panic. She grabs Alexander's sleeve. Alexander, tell me you don't believe this madness. She's a nobody. But I keep my eyes on Alexander, and I watch logic crush the denial in his skull. He looks at Joshua's fear. He looks at the manager's bow. He knows I own this building. You let me humiliate you for years. Was this a joke to you? My smile doesn't fade. I remember the day I was ready to tell him the truth. The day before our wedding, he told me he had zero interest in my life. He just wanted me to behave. You never gave me a second to explain, Alexander. You were always too busy despising me. His face darkens. Hez, thinking of my final design? Unrequited love. Hez finally realizing I gave up the Elite Lux throne for a love he never even saw. Fury and shame burn in his chest. He can't stand to look at me. We're done here. We're leaving. Joyce is trembling, but she dares not speak. Just as the elevator opens, Lillian marches forward. She holds up the cheap golf club. Wait. Take your $8,000 trash back. Our caddies would puke if they touched this. Joshua turns crimson. He grabs the box and stabs the elevator button like a coward. The doors slide shut. I stand alone in my tower. The CEO of Elite Lux. The Queen of Olisvine. Downstairs, Joyce's shock is already over. That greedy fire returns to her eyes. She whips out her phone and dials Caden. Her voice drops to a sugar-sweet plead. Daddy, Daniela owns that massive tower now. Make her give me a floor. I deserve it. While I stood victorious in my tower, another scheme was brewing across town. Caden hesitated in his living room, his face twisted with uncertainty. He had publicly disowned me. Now Joyce wanted him to beg me for favors.
If I go to her now, everyone will call me a desperate, greedy man.
His precious reputation meant more to him than his own flesh and blood. Katrina saw his hesitation. Her eyes instantly welled up with tears.
This is all my fault. When you married me, right after Daniela's mother died, she never forgave me.
She stood up, tears streaming down her face, playing her role flawlessly.
I'll kneel before Daniela myself. I'll beg her to forgive Joyce. Sisters shouldn't suffer for their parents' sins.
Caden grabbed her hand, his heart twisting at her performance.
Why should you apologize? I don't need my daughter's permission to choose who I love.
Hook, line, and sinker. He was exactly where Katrina wanted him.
Joyce, you've always been the sensible one. Which floor did you want?
Joyce clapped her hands, her eyes gleaming with greed.
The 18th floor? Dad! A fortune teller said it brings luck. The view is incredible.
Anyone in Olisvine knew the 18th floor was the most valuable spot in my building. But Katrina wasn't satisfied. She snuggled closer to Caden.
Joyce deserves her own home. Daniela owns an entire building now. Why not gift Joyce the 18th, 19th, and 20th floors?
Joyce's jaw dropped. 3 floors, each worth over $100 million. A windfall of $300 million, handed to her on a silver platter.
Dad, Daniela is swimming in wealth. 3 floors won't even dent her resources. And if I rise socially, the whole Harper family shines.
Katrina leaned in, her voice soft, but each word a dagger aimed at me.
Caden, the girls are grown. Daniela could use a sharp sister like Joyce by her side. And isn't it your right as her father to decide?
That was the trigger. Caden shot to his feet, his pride stung.
Am I not her father? Would Daniela dare challenge my authority? I'm calling her right now.
He turned to Joyce for confirmation, like an obedient puppet on Katrina's strings.
18th, 19th, and 20th floors. Those are yours.
The moment Caden stepped outside to make the call, Joyce threw herself at Katrina.
Mom, we're about to be filthy rich. 3 entire floors. I'll make Daniela's life a living hell every single day.
Katrina folded her arms, watching Caden's silhouette through the window, a cold smile spreading across her face.
Don't worry, my dear. You're the crown jewel of this family. Whatever you want, I'll make sure Caden delivers.
Joyce wrapped Katrina in a tight embrace, her heart bursting with joy and greed.
Thank you, Mom.
I'm finalizing a deal in the Elite Lux conference room. But the Harper residence is a battlefield right now. My father, Caden, shoves the front door open violently. His face is a burning, ugly shade of crimson. Katrina flies up from the sofa. She immediately asks if I agreed to give up my floors. Caden spits his reply like venom. He jabs at his phone. The line is dead, blocked.
That ungrateful girl. She has no right.
He thrusts his hand out, fingers snapping impatiently. Katrina fumbles her phone into his palm quickly. He dials. The cold, dead tone of a blocked number echoes in the living room. He hurls the phone onto the cushions and snatches Joyce's phone. Blocked again.
Dad, calm down. Daniela would never block you. She wouldn't dare be that cruel.
He ignores her fake, syrupy voice. A cold sneer settles on his lips. He turns, grabs a passing servant by the arm, and rips the phone from their trembling hand. This time the signal connects. The ringing seems to pierce the tense air. Lillian answers. Her voice is steady and unshakable ice.
Finally, this is Daniela's father. She owes me an explanation right now.
Lillian does not flinch. She redirects his fury with perfect, sharp professionalism.
You publicly disowned her 5 days ago, following your own words. You are no longer her father.
The silence on his end is so thick you could choke on it. His knuckles go bone white. His breathing turns into a heavy, controlled growl.
Even so, I brought her into this world. She should be begging to mend those ties.
He swallows the rest of his rage and remembers his true goal. The building. He straightens his collar, forcing his voice into a harsh, commanding bark.
Luxor Tower is under renovation. You will include the 18th, 19th, and 20th floors for me.
A beat of genuine shock hits the line. Even Lillian cannot process such audacity instantly.
Don't play games. I will have someone send the finalized blueprints. You will use them.
Click. He ends the call. A smug, triumphant smirk dominates his face. He tosses the phone back without a second glance and turns to Katrina and Joyce. 50 minutes later, I step out of the boardroom. The real deal is finally closed. Lillian waits for me by the door. Her expression is carefully blank, but her eyes are wide.
Miss Harper, your father insists you return his call in under an hour.
I pause, raising an eyebrow. Lillian takes a steadying breath before dropping the real bomb.
He also demands the 18th, 19th, and 20th floors of Luxor Tower. He says he is sending his personal blueprints for us to follow.
I finish signing the last document on my desk. Without looking up, I asked Lillian a simple question. Has an hour passed already? Just a minute past the hour. I nodded. Perfect. No reason to call back now. Lillian blinked, stunned by how easily I dismissed my father. She hesitated, then asked about the blueprints. I shot her a look. She understood immediately. When the blueprints arrived, Lillian couldn't resist peeking. Her jaw dropped. The design was fit for a royal palace. Over the top, dripping with extravagance. Easy to splurge when it's not your own money, huh? She handed the blueprints to me. I glanced at them once, then threw them straight into the trash. Meanwhile, Caden had been waiting for over 2 hours. His eyes stayed glued to the phone. No call came. Katrina sighed loudly from the sofa, fanning the flames. Joyce's eyes filled with fake tears. Dad, Daniela's not going to give me the 3 floors, is she? Does she hate me that much? She clung to Katrina, both of them sobbing theatrically. The sound grated on Caden's last nerve. He smashed his favorite cup against the floor and stormed upstairs. The moment he vanished, Joyce stopped crying instantly. Mom, what's the next move? Get Alexander to talk to her. Daniela's always let her heart rule her head. If he steps in, she won't say no. Joyce nodded, eyes gleaming with greed. Later that night, Richard paced the living room, chain-smoking. The sound of a car made him stop. Alexander walked in. Did you see Daniela today? Alexander nodded. It's confirmed. She's the CEO of Elite Lux. If you marry her, our family climbs to the top instantly. Daniela has always been in love with you. Blindly so. Alexander stayed silent, his expression unreadable. Earlier that day, she had barely looked at him, treated him like air. Richard caught his hesitation and scoffed. You honestly think Daniela's any different? She's just sulking. This is nothing more than a tantrum. Play along with her for a bit, she'll fall back into line. His voice carried the kind of certainty that left no room for doubt. Joyce struts onto the 18th floor of Luxor Tower like she already owns it. Her friends crowd the windows, gawking at the view.
Joyce, this is the most sought-after building in Olisville. Daniela just gave you these floors. Naturally. I'm pampered by everyone. No one dares defy me.
She orders the security guard to fetch them drinks. Her friends pile on the flattery, asking how she pulled this off. The truth is far uglier than their fantasy. Richard Bennett is the one who promised her those floors. I hear his voice in my head, scheming with Alexander last night.
Joyce wants the 18th to 20th floors. I've given her your nod.
Richard thinks this will make me jealous. His plan is to let Joyce take my property, then send Alexander to comfort me. He assumes I'll crawl back like the love-struck fool I used to be. Alexander just stands there in silence. He knows something has changed. He saw my indifference earlier. He isn't so sure anymore. Here on the 18th floor, the elevator chimes. The doors glide open. I step out, dressed in a limited edition Elite Lux autumn suit. The building plans are in my hand. The cheerful chatter drops dead. I scan the crowd. I recognize every single face. These are the women who mocked me for years. They laughed when Alexander chased Joyce instead of me. Now, they grin like loyal friends, hoping to use Joyce to get close to my success. My expression goes cold. I turn to the guard holding a tray of drinks.
What are you doing up here?
I know. Rode my eyes, and the whole group went dead silent. The security guard stepped forward, looking nervous. Miss Harper? I thought they were with the design firm. I didn't verify. I wasn't about to blame him for a building still under renovation. But this was a wake-up call. I pulled out my phone and called Ryan. Install facial recognition on every floor. Only registered personnel get in. On it, Joyce's friends started shifting uneasily. One of them leaned in and whispered to her. The betrayal was instant. So these floors aren't actually yours? Our families told us to show Daniela respect. What are you doing dragging us here to cross her? Joyce shot them a death glare. Then she whipped around and pointed at me. You're locking the building down? I'm your sister. I let out a cold laugh. You? My sister? That's a joke. You reject me and Dad just because you have money now? That was rich. Wasn't it you who pushed them to disown me? Or did I imagine that? Joyce didn't even flinch. Fine, they disowned you. But Dad raised you, so you still owe him. I crossed my arms. I'll take care of him, that's fair. But you? I owe you nothing. Take your people and get out. Joyce's fists clenched. Her eyes burned. What about Richard? He sent me here to inspect this floor. She smirked like she just played a trump card. Richard. Alexander's father. She thought I'd fold. I stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Richard has nothing to do with me anymore. Did you forget? Use your brain if you even have one. Joyce's face went pale. You defy Dad and Richard? I'll make sure they disown you. I shrugged. Go ahead, tell them. Joyce stomped her foot like a child throwing a tantrum. But I'd already called security. They grabbed her and dragged her out while she clawed at the doorframe. Passers-by pulled out their phones and started recording. Within minutes, the footage went viral. Isn't that Joyce? The one who smeared Daniela online? She's got nerve showing her face. Shameless. She destroyed Daniela's marriage, and now she wants her money? The comments kept piling up. She actually demanded 3 floors at Luxor Tower and tried to use Daniela's own father to force it. Step-family drama with 0 limits. And then someone posted the line that made me laugh. Daniela, need a sister? I swear I won't steal your husband, sabotage your wedding, or stir up trouble. I'll just be the quiet, compliant sibling you never had. How about it? Lillian nudged me the moment we sat down at the auction.
Look who decided to show up trouble herself.
I lifted my eyes. Alexander walked in, with Joyce clinging to his arm. Joyce's posture tensed as she leaned toward him, her eyes locked on me.
Alexander, Daniela smiled at you the moment you walked in. How shameless.
Alexander sat down, face unreadable, ignoring everything around him. The auction started. I gave the auctioneer a polite nod. Joyce immediately pounced on that too.
Now she's flirting with the auctioneer. Hez old enough to be her father. Disgraceful.
She then complained that I was turning the internet against her.
Alexander, you must intervene.
He stayed quiet. But his eyes found me in the darkened room. I didn't care. I was just there for Lillian. Joyce, however, wanted a fight. She kept raising her bidding paddle, spending my father's money.
How can you be so calm? Her spending your mother's fortune is an outrage.
I shrugged, fidgeting with my bracelet.
Kaiden inherited a portion of her money. How he spends it isn't my concern.
Then a jade tiger came on stage. Lillian's eyes sparkled. Money isn't an issue for her, but she wanted me to spoil her. I happily raised my paddle. Joyce saw my bid and instantly raised hers. The price skyrocketed from $8 million to $15 million. Joyce faltered. Kaiden had set a budget. I remained poised, bidding with effortless authority. Envy consumed her as she heard the whispers admiring me from behind. She steeled herself and raised her paddle again with a shaking hand.
15,100,000.
I countered smoothly without missing a beat.
16 million, 16 million, 100,000.
I raised my paddle again.
17 million.
Every gaze in the room fixed on Joyce. She tugged at her dress, her mind spinning. Another bid would drain her entire 6-month allowance. Miss Holt, this piece is a heart's desire. Do you wish to bid further? Joyce flushed crimson. She owned up to nothing. Instead, her eyes shimmered with fake tears as she grabbed Alexander's sleeve.
Alexander, Daniela is trying to disgrace me.
Before I could speak, Lillian shot up, finger pointed at Joyce.
This is an auction. If you can't afford it, just own up. Stop with the theatrics.
Joyce burst into loud, theatrical tears. Alexander stood up. His icy stare targeted Lillian. He was about to speak. So I stood up too, pulling Lillian back.
Enough, Daniela.
His words sliced through me, painfully sharp. I pressed my lips tight. But before I could find my voice, a shadow fell over me. A hand grabbed my wrist and pulled me back in one smooth, protective motion.
Cut the nonsense, Mr. Bennett. Who's crossing the line here?
The room went dead silent. Every head turned. Cedric Phillips, a titan of industry. His piercing gaze landed on Alexander.
Just because Daniela was once blind to your games, you think you can push her around? This stops now.
He turned his eyes to mine, his voice low so only I could hear.
Don't bother wrestling with pigs. They love the mud, and you'll just end up covered in their filth.
A ripple of laughter spread through the crowd. All eyes swung back to Alexander, waiting for his reaction to Cedric's bold public humiliation. The auction ended, but the drama didn't. I was talking business with the organizer when Joyce snuck a photo. Later, in the restroom, I was fixing my makeup. The door swung open behind me. Joyce walked in, a fake smile plastered on her face. Well, well, Daniela, what a coincidence. I didn't even look at her. I kept powdering my face. You came in here on purpose. No need to play games, my dear sister. The words hit her like a slap. She dropped the act fast. All right, yes, I followed you. But what's so special about you? So what if you've got money now? I put the powder down and turned to her with a slight smile. It's not just some money. It's a lot of money. The kind you'd never earn in 10 lifetimes. So go ahead and be jealous. Fury choked her. She couldn't even speak. You still think I'm that same easy target? Here's a tip, don't push me, or I'll have you out of the Harper family faster than you can blink. That's when her act really started. Joyce's eyes filled with tears on command. How could you? Dad says I'm his daughter. You can't just kick me out. She started backing up, stumbling as if invisible hands had shoved her. Daniela, why are you doing this to me? I know you like Alexander, but he's my true love too. Am I not allowed to love someone? She crashed dramatically against the restroom door. The door burst open. She tumbled backward onto the floor outside. Her voice cracked, loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. Fine, it's all my fault. I'll kneel and beg if that's what you want. I walked to the doorway and saw Alexander standing right there. He was leaning against the wall, a cigarette in his hand, watching the whole circus. Joyce looked up at me from the floor. So pitiful, so innocent. She thought she'd trapped me. I crossed my arms and let my smile grow. Go on, kneel. She froze. Her crying stopped cold. What? I tilted my head, my gaze sharp as a blade. You said you'd kneel, didn't you? So go ahead, kneel. What's the holdup? Was all that talk just for show? Joyce's face flushed a deep, burning red. She had no way out. Alexander opened his mouth to speak. My cold stare landed on him before a single word could leave his lips. My voice was steady, nothing like the girl who used to beg for his love. She said she'd kneel. You heard her, didn't you? I didn't make her say it. This is a private matter between Joyce and me. You've crossed the line, Mr. Bennett. The restroom door swung shut. Joyce cornered me, dropping her sweet act. What's so special about you now, Daniela? So what if you have cash? I kept fixing my powder, not even glancing at her. It's not just some cash. It's a fortune you couldn't earn in 10 lifetimes. Let yourself choke on that jealousy. Joyce's face twisted with rage, but then she did what she does best. She staggered backward as if id shoved her, crashing against the door and collapsing just outside it. Daniela, why are you doing this? I know you love Alexander, but he's my true love too. Her voice cracked with theatrical sorrow. She promised to kneel and beg for forgiveness. I walked over and looked down at her pathetic act. Through the doorway, Alexander stood watching in silence. He looked ready to defend her, as always. But I didn't give either of them the chance. Go on then, kneel. Joyce froze. The fake sobs died in her throat. She had never expected me to call her bluff. Alexander stepped forward, but my glare locked him in place. This is a private matter. You've crossed the line, Mr. Bennett. But right then, I brought my heel down hard on Joyce's foot. A gasp. Her face went white as a sheet. Consider this a lesson, Joyce. I turned my back on them both, their stunned silence pounding in my ears. Outside, Lillian was waiting in the car, her face tight with worry. Shed heard the whole ugly scene. Daniela, you don't have to prove anything to those old board members. You are elite Lux. I smiled, but I knew her real fear wasn't about the company. It was about Alexander. I'm afraid he'll appear again, with his charming lies, and you'll lose your focus. Her words hung in the air. She dreaded that if Alexander came weaving his hollow promises, I might once again succumb to his allure. Lillian can't shake the fear. She's seen me throw everything away for Alexander once before. I look at her, my most loyal friend.
Don't worry. I don't make the same mistake twice.
That love is dead. Alexander means nothing to me now. While I leave, Joyce is still burning with hate. Alexander helps her pathetic, limping figure back to the Harper house.
Mom, hurry. I'm going to die from all this bullying.
Katrina rushes out and shrieks at the sight of Joyce's swollen foot.
Caden, our baby girl is hurt.
Caden flies down the stairs, his face a storm of fury.
What happened?
Joyce turns on the waterworks instantly.
It was Daniela! She shoved me in the restroom and stepped on my foot.
She lies that she only went to apologize. Caden's rage explodes.
She's gone way too far. You're her sister. How can she be so selfish?
He turns to Alexander, demanding he control me. But Alexander's reply is ice cold.
We're divorced.
Caden scoffs. He rants that I shamed the family and flirted with the auction organizer. Joyce smiles, waiting for Alexander to strike me down. But his next words shatter her whole world.
Daniela is the boss behind the auction, not the organizer.
The room freezes. Caden and Katrina are petrified. Alexander finishes them off as he walks out.
The auction house? She owns it.
He drives away without a second look. Katrina watches his car vanish and grabs Joyce.
How did Daniela behave toward Alexander? She's playing hard to get, acting like she doesn't care.
Katrina's heart pounds with dread. She asks how Alexander reacted.
He still looks down on her. He only has eyes for me.
But as Katrina helps her inside, she glances back into the dark night. The car is gone. A cold promise hardens in her throat.
Nothing and no one will stop my daughter from finding her happiness. Not a soul.
My phone buzzed. Alexander's father, Richard, was ordering him to a concert. Richard told Alexander it'd be here, a hall full of rich bachelors all circling. Alexander turned his steering wheel and came anyway. But I hadn't stepped into this concert hall for over a decade. Not since my family shattered. Not since I chased Alexander like a fool. Now, as the boss, the senior maestros bowed to me at the entrance. The director left his grandson to be my escort for the evening. Lillian nudged me hard, then shouted at the poor guy, "Hey, handsome, up for some fun?" His face flamed red, but he nodded at me. By the time the performance started, Alexander slid into the front row. I sat rows away, completely absorbed in the music. I didn't even glance his way. That never happened before. He used to be the only thing I could see. Alexander's friend, Keith Clayton, leaned in, scanning the crowd of heirs. Half of Olesvine's golden boys are here for Daniela. I bet they don't even understand this music. Remember? I once told her she wasn't good enough for you. Keith laughed, pointing at my custom blue gown worth $5 million. She looks amazing. Is she just playing cultured, or does she get it? Alexander stared at me, his voice cold and distant. She doesn't get it. The final note faded. Applause erupted. But the director walked on stage with a microphone, quieting the room. Tonight, it's my privilege to introduce our owner, Daniela Harper. The audience froze. Phone snapped shut. Eyes bulged. She's an accomplished cellist since childhood. I must ask, are we fortunate enough to hear her play? A single thought buzzed through every mind in that stunned silence. Could Daniela, the woman everyone wrote off as just a pretty face, actually play? Keith arched an eyebrow at Alexander, a teasing smirk on his face.
Daniela can't really play, right? She can't.
Alexander adjusted his watch, a flicker of disdain in his cold eyes. To him, this invitation was just pathetic flattery from her employees. Playing the cello couldn't be faked. Everyone in the hall braced themselves to politely endure disaster. Daniela walked onto the stage. No introduction, no fanfare. She sat down before the cello, her posture suddenly transforming into something regal. The first rich note ripped through the silence. All the quiet murmurs and private doubts died instantly. Every single person in the hall froze. Their attention locked onto her. Bathed in light, her fingers danced. The melody was deep, haunting, and absolutely flawless. This was not a rich girl playing pretend. This was a master. When the last note vanished, a stunned silence held for a breath. Daniela rose and gave a deep, graceful bow.
It's been a while. I hope it wasn't too disappointing.
The hall didn't just applaud, it exploded. Keith was clapping so hard his hands went red, his eyes locked on Alexander in pure shock. The young elites around them erupted in disbelief. One shouted he was already in love with her. Another declared everyone would fight for a chance. The same people who once ignored her were now ready to worship the ground she walked on. Keith turned to the stone-faced Alexander, grinning with brutal honesty.
If you're not planning to win her back, I'm stepping in. Daniela is too amazing to just let go.
Alexander sat there, a dark, bitter irritation eating at him as the praise roared on. He raised his head, his voice cutting through the chaos with icy arrogance.
Amazing? I don't understand what all the excitement is about.
Keith grinned at me like he'd just found gold. If you're not going after Daniela, I will. My jaw tightened. I couldn't explain why that made my blood boil. Daniela stepped off the stage, lifting her gown like it was nothing. Cedric handed her flowers. The old man actually smiled. Then her eyes found me in the crowd. I straightened up without thinking, but she looked at me like I was a fly buzzing around her face. Ice cold, 2 seconds. Then she turned away. My teeth ground together. So she's a CEO now and thinks she's above me? The concert ended. People filed out, but everyone kept sneaking glances at her. Keith nudged my arm. You gonna go say hi or what? I glanced at Daniela. She stood there in that blue gown, pearls catching the light, looking untouchable. Keith laughed when he saw me hesitate. I get it. You're too proud to make the first move. Back then, she always ran after you. Now you don't know what to do. He waved his hand and shouted across the hall. Daniela, over here! She turned her head toward us. Keith pointed right at me. Daniela, look who's here. Alexander came to support you tonight. His message was obvious. If I wouldn't go to her, she could come to me. Daniela gave us one cold look. Then she turned back to her conversation, like we were nothing. Keith opened his mouth again, but Cedric stepped in front of her. His face said back off. Keith shut his mouth. Hours later, Daniela finally left the concert hall. I didn't expect to find Keith and me still waiting by the entrance. Keith spotted her first. Daniela! She looked up. Keith started moving toward her. Daniela, you were incredible tonight. I had no idea you had this kind of skill. She smiled, but it never reached her eyes. She wasn't interested in us at all. Thank you. She turned to leave. Keith panicked. By the way, Alexander watched your performance too. He thought it was amazing. Daniela stopped walking. She turned her head slowly and locked eyes with me. Keith looked down, probably thinking she still had feelings for me. But then Daniela spoke. Mr. Bennett, you were unusually attentive tonight. That's a first. The words hit like a slap. Everyone knew what she meant. The fire. Our marriage. All of it. Keith froze. He stared at her like he was seeing a completely different woman. She wasn't the Daniela he remembered. She was sharp, composed, smarter. My ex-husband Alexander turns to leave with a scowl, but his friend Keith stops him. Keith grins and tries to hand me a business card.
Miss Harper, I'm Keith Clayton. Just call me Keith.
I don't take it. The moment he mentioned Alexander, I lost all interest.
I'm off the clock. I don't mix business with personal time.
Keith's grin falters.
It's not business. I just thought we could be friends.
I look him dead in the eye.
I'm no longer married to Alexander. His friends won't be mine.
I turn and walk away. My assistant Lillian follows. Near my car, a young man holds the door open for me. It's the concert hall director's grandson. The same warmth I denied Keith, I give freely to him.
Thank you.
The young man's ears turn red under the neon lights. Keith watches the whole scene. He nudges Alexander, whose jaw is clenched tight.
Look at that. She's sweet to everyone but us. If I knew she was completely done with you, I wouldn't have dragged you here.
Alexander's hand tightens on the car door handle. His knuckles go white. Keith sees his opening and pushes harder.
If you don't make a move, someone else will. Just let go of your pride and apologize.
Alexander wrenches the door open.
Does everything have to be about her now?
He slams the door and roars off into the night. Inside his dark bedroom, Alexander drops into a chair. His tie hangs loose. For 10 years, I chased him. Now, my absence leaves a void he can't explain. He tells himself this is just withdrawal, that our marriage was just a business deal. But the image of my assistant Cedric standing protectively in front of me won't leave his mind. The next morning, I wake up with a cloudy head. A knock echoes at my door. Miss Harper, there's a man downstairs claiming to be your father. He's with 2 women named Katrina and Joyce. The names sink in. My father, my stepmother, my stepsister. My phone lights up with a call. It's Cedric.
Care to join me for lunch?
I pat my face dry and clip on my earrings.
Not today. I've got something to handle.
What's going on?
I set the towel down and look at myself in the mirror. My voice stays light as silk.
Looks like it's time to confront my family.
10 minutes later, Joyce is sprawled on my couch, barking orders at my housekeeper.
Pack up those fruits for me. That fruit platter, too. And the little table folded up.
She drifts toward my fish tank, eyes gleaming. Miss Holt, those fish are gifts from Mr. Phillips. Each one's worth over 20 grand. Katrina loops her arm through Caden's.
Look at the setup. She really spoils herself.
Joyce, if you want the tank, we'll send movers for the whole thing.
Joyce's smile spreads. Her finger lands on my rosewood cabinet.
Dad, I want that cabinet too.
My housekeeper's voice trembles. That's also from Mr. Phillips. Rare rosewood, bought at auction. I can't just... Caden's glare cuts her off.
I'm her father. If I wanted this entire building, she'd hand it over. You think a cabinet matters?
The housekeeper bows her head, defeated. Joyce gestures around the room like she's circling items in a catalog.
I'll call movers right now. And Dad, get Daniela to remodel floors 18 through 20 for me. Same style as this place.
Before my housekeeper can respond, a knock slams against the door. She rushes over, hoping it's Lillian. Instead, 10 men in moving uniforms stand outside. Someone here request a moving service. Joyce shoves past the housekeeper.
Get in here. We've been waiting.
The mover apologizes for traffic. Joyce waves it off and leads them into my living room.
Take that. And that. The fish tank whole thing. Move it all.
My housekeeper throws herself in front of the tank. Please wait. Miss Harper is still asleep. I can't let you strip her house bare without her permission. I'm just the housekeeper. What am I supposed to tell her? Caden calls himself my father. Katrina claims she's my stepmother. Joyce announces she's my stepsister. The housekeeper stands frozen, trembling, arms spread wide to block the tank. Joyce's face twists. Her hand snaps up and slaps the housekeeper across the face. The woman, 50 years old, stumbles backward, tears filling her eyes. But she doesn't move. Joyce grabs her arm, shoves her aside, and sneers.
Move it now.
I hear the slap before I see it, the sharp crack of Joyce's palm across my housekeeper's face. My feet carry me down the stairs as Joyce shoves the woman aside.
Move it now.
A team of movers surrounds my fish tank, my rosewood cabinet, my furniture. Joyce points at everything like she's shopping in her own personal catalog. The housekeeper clutches her swollen cheek, tears streaming, but she still blocks the tank. And on my couch, Caden and Katrina, tangled up together, flirting, in my living room, while their daughter strips my house bare.
Katrina, making you my wife was the finest decision of my life.
The door swings open. Cedric Phillips steps inside. His eyes sweep the room movers, hauling my belongings, my father cradling his wife, the housekeeper's bruised face. His jaw tightens. The air itself seems to drop 10 degrees. Joyce freezes mid-command. Her mouth falls open.
Mr. Phillips.
She practically trips over herself, rushing toward him.
Hi there. I'm Joyce, Daniela's sister. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Cedric doesn't move. Hands in his pockets, eyes cold as stone. He looks straight through her like she's not even worth registering. Joyce's hand hangs in the air, untouched. Her cheeks burn red, but her eyes stay glued to him. Hungry. Katrina watches from across the room, scheming.
Between Cedric and Alexander, who do you favor more?
Cedric, without any doubt. Self-made. No one pulling his strings. If Joyce marries him, she runs the show.
He pauses, a slow smile spreading across his face.
But no matter his capabilities, Cedric will have to defer to me, regardless.
Katrina stepped toward Cedric, all polished smile, and extended her hand. Cedric Phillips, Daniela's close friend, right? I'm Daniela's stepmother. Please call me Katrina. Cedric didn't move, hands in his pockets. The movers froze at his presence. Starting a move this early in the morning, Katrina's hand dropped, but she laughed it off like nothing happened. No, not moving, Daniela still lives here. Joyce just felt some furniture didn't suit her style. We were discussing upgrades. As parents, we want her to have the best. The housekeeper stared, stunned. Minutes ago, this woman was claiming everything in sight. Now she played devoted stepmother. Cedric pulled out a chair and sat, his eyes finding the movers at the fish tank. So, the fish tank and the fish that I gifted aren't good enough? My gift doesn't suit this house? The threat in his voice was unmistakable. Caden shot to his feet, his face going pale. No, of course not. How could we think that? Your gift is the best of the best. Silence. Even the movers stopped breathing. One of them hesitantly asked if they should keep moving. Caden's eyes darted to Cedric. One thumb froze on his phone screen. Katrina jumped in with a sugary smile, desperate to salvage the moment. Of course, well, leave the fish tank exactly where it is. But maybe we could take a few other items? Just the ones that don't quite fit? Her greed was showing. My rosewood sofa, my leather cushions, she wanted them all. Caden asked Cedric, voice small and wary, if that would be all right. Cedric didn't answer. Just scrolled on his phone like they didn't exist. Then a door creaked upstairs. Everyone but Cedric exhaled. I came down the stairs. Daniela, you're finally awake. Soft, gentle. The voice of a loving father. I once would have begged for a crumb of that warmth, but it was always for Joyce, never me. That hope died long ago. My eyes swept the room. Movers everywhere. Scattered furniture, their uniforms red. We bring happiness back home. Home. I haven't known what that word means in years. Cedric sat in the middle of the chaos, completely still. Then I saw the housekeeper. Swollen cheek, tear stains, shed been struck. A shadow sank into my eyes. My gaze turned to stone. The second I came downstairs, the fake smile on Caden's face died. For a moment, I saw he wanted to reprimand me, but his eyes darted nervously to Cedric, who was still sitting in that chair. Cedric made no move to leave. Suppressing his irritation, Caden forced a polite smile and turned to me.
Unbelievable. Daniela? Sleeping in? With your pathetic work ethic, it's a joke you're even running a business.
I ignored him. I walked straight into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of milk. I took a long look at Katrina, then at Joyce, letting a smile curl on my lips.
I'm just dying to know what bullshit plan are you cooking up this time?
Daniela, mind your words.
I set down my glass and settled into the sofa, my voice dripping with sarcasm.
If my memory serves me, you were the one who made a public declaration that our father-daughter ties were cut. It was in the news, wasn't it?
Caden's jaw tightened. I pressed on.
So, since we're nothing to each other, what twisted logic made you think bringing your pathetic family into my home was okay?
My gaze swept to the housekeeper's swollen cheek, then to the movers.
You hit my staff. You started seizing my possessions. What is this, if not daylight robbery?
Joyce stepped forward, whining her objection.
Don't twist it into something terrible. We're taking your stuff because you actually matter to us.
I didn't even blink.
Oh, really? Should I clap for you?
Joyce froze. Then Katrina stepped in, her voice sweet like poison.
Daniela, you're being too harsh. As your father, bonds like yours aren't dissolved by a mere public statement. Don't be so stubborn.
Caden, the fool, bought every word she said. He thought she was the family's true peacemaker. He glared at me like I was an ungrateful monster. But I knew Katrina's game. I raised my hand to silence her.
Stop pretending this was some impulsive mistake. Let's face it, Dad, you couldn't wait to cut me loose.
Caden's face went pale. Admitting fault, especially in front of Cedric, would destroy him. Seeing this, Katrina made her big play. She bent forward in a deep theatrical bow.
I accept all the blame. I'm sorry. Please, don't punish your father for my failures. Let's move on.
She played the martyr with flawless precision. I watched Caden's eyes well up with pride and tenderness as he looked at her. He was in awe of her kindness, swearing silently to protect her and Joyce even more than before. In his warped mind, a single thought took root. How could they, so innocent and righteous, live in this dangerous world without him watching over them? I let out a sharp, icy laugh when Katrina finished her little performance. An apology? She showed up uninvited, slapped my staff, tried to strip my house bare, and called that an apology. I turned to the movers and told them nothing was leaving. One mover stepped forward. They still needed payment for coming out here. I smiled and looked straight at Katrina. Go on, this one's on you. Katrina's face twitched, but she forced a tight smile and handed over $10,000. The movers packed up and left. That's when Caden straightened up and got to the real point. Hand over the 18th to 20th floors to Joyce. She wants a collaboration with Elite Luxe. Take care of the design and renovations, too. Joyce jumped in, eager. I don't know much about design. Maybe Daniela could do that part for me? Caden nodded, pleased, then his tone hardened. You're inconsiderate. I can't imagine any man wanting to marry you. This is because your mother raised you so poorly. Across the room, Cedric's eyes darkened like a storm. I gave him a faint, reassuring smile. Then I turned back to Caden, my voice calm, almost gentle. The floors? Of course. The renovations? Why not? I've done well. It's only fair to help my sister. They all relaxed. Smug satisfaction spread across their faces. Katrina and Joyce exchanged a look. They regretted not demanding more. 10 floors, maybe. I would have agreed to anything. Start the paperwork. Use the best materials. No cutting corners. He turned for the door. My voice stopped him mid-step. Dad, what are you saying? You expect me to hand over my property to Joyce and pay for her renovations? Are you joking? Caden froze. His face tightened in confusion. I said I'd help my sister. But you meant Joyce? She doesn't share my mother's blood. She's not my sister. I told him I remembered my mother drenched in blood when she died. Her voice had come to me just last night. She told me she had only one daughter. Your mother and I only had you. Joyce is your sister. Oh, I see. The baggage your new woman brought in? And you want me to take care of it? Keep dreaming. Caden roared my name, his face turning a deep, furious red. His hand flew into the air, ready to strike. The slap was already in motion. Daniela tensed to react, but a figure cut in front of her first. Cedric stood between them, a towering wall shielding her. His presence alone sucked the chaos out of the room. Daniela froze, her eyes falling to Cedric's other hand. It was clenched into a tight fist at his side.
What do you think you're doing? And what do you think you're doing? I'm disciplining my own daughter. Stay out of this.
Daniela stepped out from behind Cedric, her fingers lightly gripping his sleeve. She pointed up at the security camera on the wall and smiled.
Go ahead and swing, but just imagine tomorrow's headlines. Will it be about the estranged father violently robbing his daughter? Or will the news call it a disgraced dad hitting his own flesh and blood for his second wife?
Caden looked like he was about to explode. His whole body shook as he screamed her name.
Daniela.
Daniela just stood there, her smile sweet and mocking.
Yes, Dad.
Caden knew if he stayed a second longer, he would lose his mind from rage.
If you want to be this cold and cling to your wealth, then never come begging for help later.
Daniela just waved goodbye. Face burning with fury, Caden stormed out without a backward glance. Katrina looked at Cedric, standing silently by Daniela's side.
Don't you regret it.
Daniela snorted, a playful smile on her lips.
I have zero plans for motherhood, and if I did, I wouldn't be like Caden. I like fame and power, so keep your hands off the money.
Katrina's composure shattered. Her face tightened, and she walked out with a sigh. Now only Joyce remained, glued to her spot, obviously torn about leaving.
Still hanging around? Waiting for a royal parade.
Joyce wanted to run from Daniela's taunts, but Cedric was right there. If she left, Daniela would have him all to herself. Cedric had mentioned a lunch date with Daniela. This was Joyce's chance to get closer to him. She looked at Cedric with fresh interest and flirted.
Mr. Phillips, are you heading to lunch soon? Could I join you?
Joyce batted her eyelashes at Cedric, her voice dripping with sweetness.
Please? Can I join you for lunch?
Cedric's face turned to stone.
No.
Joyce's mouth opened to protest.
I have germophobia.
Joyce froze. Tears welled up instantly. He just called her dirty. Before she could speak, I pointed to the door.
Time to leave. Your parents already went. Go catch up.
Joyce shot me a look of pure hatred, then stomped out with tears streaming down her face. Cedric barely noticed. His eyes stayed locked on me. We went to an upscale restaurant for lunch. Cedric barely spoke, but his hands never stopped moving. He peeled shrimp, cracked crabs, sliced sashimi, and placed everything on my plate. Something was off. He was too quiet. After the meal, he handed me a plate of fruit.
Is something bothering you today?
No?
I let it go. Then he set down his napkin, his eyes serious.
Daniela.
I knew that tone. I stood up before he could continue.
I'm full. I'll be right back.
I headed to the restroom. When I came out, Alexander was waiting. He blocked my path.
He likes you.
I let out a short laugh.
If the timing had been different, you'd know exactly what Cedric was going to say. He has big plans. He has a reason for coming after you.
My voice went cold.
So what? Why does it concern you? You think you're in a position to give me advice? What's your plan, Alexander? What part are you playing?
I turned and walked away without looking back. When I returned to the room, Cedric had composed himself. He drove me home. As I stepped out of the car, he called my name. I sighed quietly and turned around. He stood by the car, his expression more open than I'd ever seen it.
You're smart. You know what I want to say. But now isn't the right time. For now, just think of me as an old classmate. Or friend. Whatever label works.
He took a breath.
If you ever need help, anything at all, please reach out to me. You're a good person, Daniela. The problem isn't you, it's them.
A cold breeze passed between us. His words were genuine. Rare for a man known for his icy calculations.
Thank you.
You don't need to thank me. If your housekeeper leaves, I know someone excellent who's looking for work. I could introduce her tomorrow. You'd be doing her a favor, honestly.
I looked at him. This confident, commanding man stood before me, bracing for rejection.
You don't need to do that. Lillian already has someone lined up. Drive safely, okay?
Rejection doesn't always need words. It lives in the silence between them. I was certain Cedric got the message. Cedric stood outside my building, the wind cutting across his face. He watched my window on the 25th floor until the light went out. Then he pulled out his phone.
Ryan, get down here, now.
Ryan dragged himself downstairs, exhausted from days without sleep.
What's going on? You just walked her up. She's not happy.
Ryan stared at him, confused.
I'm putting a housekeeper in her home. Help me make it happen. She refused. Hack Lillian's computer. Make sure the right candidate gets selected.
He couldn't stomach watching another housekeeper stand there crying while the Harpers attacked me. Ryan nodded and headed back upstairs. The next morning, I opened my eyes to Lillian grinning at my bedside.
I found you a housekeeper.
I blinked. It hadn't even been 10 hours.
She's perfect. 5 languages, global cuisine, even childcare training.
I followed Lillian downstairs. A middle-aged woman stood waiting, warm and rounded with a kind face.
I'm Josie. I'll handle everything you need.
Something about her felt familiar.
Have we met before? Oh, no! I just have a common face.
But her eyes held a strange reverence when she looked at me. She'd already made sandwiches and fresh juice. After breakfast, she draped a shawl over my shoulders.
The mornings are cold. Take care of yourself.
She grabbed her shopping cart and headed out. Lillian beamed from the doorway. Josie was a remarkably considerate soul, seemingly crafted perfectly to complement my needs. I watched Josie leave, then turned to Lillian. I told her to warn Josie if any Harper shows up, she must stay out of it. I couldn't bear seeing another innocent person get slapped because of me. The old housekeeper's swollen face still burned in my mind. That guilt wouldn't fade, but I had no idea the real scheming was already happening somewhere else. Joyce had stormed straight to Caden, sobbing about how I humiliated her. Don't waste time on that crazy woman. Caden was dead sure I'd come crawling back. No woman could walk down the aisle without her father's arm, he said. I'd be a joke. Joyce sulked, but Katrina stayed silent waiting. Later, alone, Katrina pulled Joyce aside and gave her the first rule. Win the man, win the house. Force Caden now and it will explode. Be patient, we'll destroy her bond with him forever. The second rule, a woman, no matter how high she climbs, always crawls back to family just like I once chased Alexander's approval, like a desperate fool. So, Alexander or Cedric? Joyce's cheeks flushed. Before, it was Alexander. Katrina understood instantly. Cedric is an excellent catch. But don't drop Alexander yet, keep a spare. Once you snag Cedric, those floors and everything else are yours. Katrina reminded Joyce of the fortune teller at birth. Destined to marry into luxury, a life dripping in gold. Joyce panicked. How could she even get Cedric's attention? Katrina leaned in, whispered a secret move, and Joyce's eyes went wide with shock and excitement. Then, Katrina slipped into the living room and draped herself over Caden's chest like silk. She murmured that family peace mattered more than my floors. Caden stroked her hair, eyes still glued to the TV. You're the reasonable one, unlike that worthless brat Daniela. A hidden smirk curved Katrina's lips. Manipulating him was effortless. She sweetly suggested it was time to find Joyce a proper husband, a man who could bring real power. Caden's attention finally shifted. He looked down at her, completely charmed. He pulled her closer, his lips descending toward hers. Cedric would be a perfect match for Joyce. Caden froze mid-motion. His breath hitched. What did you just say? The moment Katrina said Cedric's name, Caden froze. Every trace of desire drained from his face.
Who did you just say?
Cedric, the CEO of Phillips Group, the Golden Bachelor.
She pointed at the TV where Cedric's face appeared on the business news. Caden stared at her like she'd lost her mind.
You want him as your son-in-law? Do you even know who he is?
Katrina listed Cedric's achievements. Young, decisive, rising star.
He's 25. His fortune is worth tens of millions. Most rich kids his age still race cars and party on their parents' money.
Katrina grew more confident.
Exactly. It proves how driven he is.
Caden slapped his forehead. Yes, Cedric was exceptional. But that was precisely the problem. Cedric had no family backing. Everything he built came from his own blood and teeth. The business world eats men alive. And Cedric didn't just survive. He thrived. A man like that doesn't waste time on emotion-driven decisions.
Joyce is sweet, but naive. Her greatest pleasure is competing with Daniela over trivial nonsense.
Katrina went rigid.
Cedric doesn't waste time on people who lack substance. Or intelligence.
Are you saying Joyce is stupid?
But Caden didn't stop there. He remembered his first wife. Daniela's mother. Too sharp, too calculating. She made him feel trapped. After her death, he chose Katrina deliberately. A woman who flattered him, leaned on him completely. And Daniela? She was just like her mother. Too intelligent. But now, her success proved exactly how smart she was.
If we're pairing one of our daughters with Cedric, Daniela's the better choice.
Katrina walked out, her world shattered. Outside the door stood Joyce. Tears streamed down her face. She heard everything.
Don't cry. We'll fight for our own happiness.
She reminded Joyce about Alexander, the backup plan.
He left Daniela for you. The Bennetts might still be an option.
But Joyce's hands curled into fists. Richard Bennett had been cold to her lately, distant, unwelcoming.
This is all Daniela's fault. If it weren't for her, Alexander would be crazy about me. Cedric would notice me too.
Her eyes burned with hatred.
It's all because of that horrible woman.
Joyce walks out, but Caden doesn't spare her a single word. Just look at her. She wears every emotion on her face. She's too simple-minded for someone like Cedric. He needs someone sharp, someone like Daniela. He tells Katrina that Joyce needs to let go of this ridiculous idea. I'm about to sign a contract when my phone rings. It's the concert hall manager. He says a group trashed the place. 50 broken chairs, 3 cellos destroyed, music scores ripped to shreds. The leader claimed to be my sister, so the staff backed off. I tell the manager to shut the hall down and send me the bill. I will handle this myself. Hours later, my phone buzzes again. This time, it's the auction house. Joyce attended the auction. She bid on over 20 high-end pieces, racking up a total of $230 million. Then she refused to pay, saying I would cover it. Miss Harper, she claims she's your sister. How should we proceed? I don't hesitate. Call the police. That evening, loud banging echoes through my house. Before I can react, Katrina barges right past my housekeeper. Daniela, how could you be so cruel? Ruining Joyce's life like this? Caden stands right behind her. Alexander lurks near the door. Katrina turns to Alexander, putting on a tragic show. Do you see how heartless she is? Thank God you divorced her. I keep my face blank and my voice level. She bid $230 million and refused to pay. You're her mother. You cover the bill. Katrina's mouth opens, but no sound comes out. She just freezes, face flushed red. Caden shoves forward, trying to impose his authority. Enough. It's late. Call the police and get your sister out. Now. I won't. His eyes go wide with shock, then narrow into furious slits. You ungrateful little brat. His hand flies up, ready to strike me across the face. I brace myself to dodge the blow. But just before his palm can land, another hand reaches out from behind me. It latches onto Caden's wrist, crushing it in a brutal, vice-like grip. Ah, let go, let me go.